Welcome to 17 Strong. Victories don't come by accident. Here's your host, Steve Teixeira.
Thanks, Andy. Welcome to another 17 Strong podcast. I'm your host, Steve Teixeira, along with my beautiful wife, Holly. Hi, babe.
Hi, how are you? We're on the road.
We're on the road, on location
We
at
are.
Colorado Mesa University, Grand Junction, Colorado. So we're
Yeah, it's
excited
kind of
to be
a
here.
home away from home.
It is. It
Yes,
is. So
we
we're
love
so
it.
thankful for the college for opening up their beautiful studio
I know,
to us. I mean, I
it's
feel
great. I feel like it's
we're-
really high
we've
tech.
made the big time.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
why don't you introduce our lovely
Oh
guests?
my gosh, we're so excited to have Kelli and Carma with us, and they are we know you from the Challengers. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
we're so excited.
Why don't
talk
you
about-
start by telling us a little bit about yourself before
Yeah.
we get started?
Well, my name is Carma, and I been in Grand Junction since I was 7 years old. So I definitely am almost as native
Local.
as you can
Yep.
get.
Absolutely.
And I have been married for 37 years, have
Wow.
2 grown men sons.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've been running Challenger with Kelli. This is our 25th year anniversary.
25
That is amazing.
years.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Good for you guys.
Yeah,
And
I
Kelly, how
love-
about a little bit about you?
Well, I'm Kelly, and I grew up in Denver, and we moved to Grand Junction about 25 years ago.
Mm.
and
Yeah.
Jerry and I have been married for 40 years, and we have 2 children. We have a son that lives in Denver, and then our oldest, Lindsay, has special needs,
Mm.
and that is what kind of connected Carmen and I together.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
tell us the story about how Challengers became a thing here in Grand Junction, because it was not, you guys started it here.
Sort of,
Oh,
yes.
okay,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, I would
Tell us
say
the story.
we've ramped it up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you want me to
before I
explain that?
moved here,
Yeah.
Karma had kind of started the Challenger program.
Okay.
You can just
Yeah.
go ahead
Well,
and finish
explain
that.
Challenger to our listeners, because a
Sure.
lot of
Yeah.
people, they hear that, they don't understand
Yes.
exactly what it is.
So first of all, Challenger Baseball is an adaptive baseball league for kids that have needs that need met by help with a buddy.
Gotcha.
You know, so it could be vision impaired, it could be Down syndrome, autism, or maybe, you know, they have to. I use this example that if they fit the criteria of Special Olympics, they fit the criteria of Challenger.
Yes.
That's kind of our rule of thumb.
Absolutely.
And what happened is kind of a funny story, actually. But I was on the Little League board. I pretty much have never left Little League
Oh, yeah.
because
You
I
stayed
was
right
in
there.
Little League my whole life growing up. And then my little brothers were in there because I have a big family. I also have a little brother who has special needs. And
Gotcha.
but he never had this kind of an opportunity because there was no opportunities for him.
Right.
Sure.
And we're a baseball family and a sports family. And my little brother that has special needs was our youngest of 6 kids.
Mm.
So my mom and dad, you know, brought him everywhere to
Everywhere,
attend every
yeah.
sporting event that all 5 other children needed to be at.
Sure.
You know, because there was 4 boys and 2 girls, and we all played sports. One would never think that I could ever play softball, but apparently I could.
Yes.
But I can't
Yes.
now.
That's
but we
awesome.
all played and all, you know, did Little League and did All Stars, and my brother just was the best fan.
Mm.
Right. And so fast forward in life. So then I became right after my son Cody was born and could start Little League. He started T-ball at Grand Mesa Little League. Then I was the Little League, the T-ball rep,
Okay.
you know, because you know how you have volunteers at the
Yep.
Little Leagues, right? I was the T-ball rep. And so then he went to minor boys, and my son Kyle's right behind him because they're 2 years apart. And then he went to minor boys, and I was at minor boys, and I didn't love it, but I knew what I was doing because I came from T-ball to minor
Sure.
boys, right? So the point to the story is, that's where you really start seeing the good and the bad of sometimes competition is that
Sure.
young at minor
Yes.
boys. And I went to work at Home Loan Insurance, where I work still today. And my friend, okay, so this is the part people never really understand about Challenger.
Mm.
So I went to work, and Rick Topper worked there. And he worked with me at Home Loan. And Bill, and I'm so sorry, I can't just draw a blank. But anyway, Bill Rohr. Bill Rohr worked in Grand Junction, too. They were 2 men here in our valley. And Little League International introduced the desire, if you wanted to have it, to offer a league for kids with special needs.
Oh.
And so a letter went out to all the leagues, we're District 1, Grand
Okay.
Junction's District 1. So a letter went out to all the leagues and across the country, and they said, hey, would you like to have a challenger baseball division, just like major girls, major boys.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to have a challenger division? Well, that was brought up at a board meeting that I clearly was not at because I was over there just running, minor boys at Grand
Right.
Mesa. But Rick Topper and Bill Rohr were there, and they said we would like to do that at our league, which was Monument Little League. And so that was not the Little League I was involved with. So they said, let's first. I don't know if there'd ever be a challenger without this story. I really believe this. So
Okay.
I feel like you've got to give credit its due.
Sure.
We're great at when we came into the picture of doing what we did, but I don't know if we would have done what these two men did.
Yeah.
So these guys that I knew from work,
Sure.
went the first year that it was introduced to the country as part of Little League International.
Okay.
They went out and they got the Grand Junction Area Builders and Contractors Association to turn one of the fields at Monument Little League into an ADA compliant field.
Wow.
See, that's something I would never have thought of, probably.
Right.
Right.
And so they went, and it gives me goosebumps.
yes,
It made me cry.
Yes.
Because just think about that, and you go back to think about my little brother.
yeah.
There wasn't even a baseball field that was ADA compliant
Sure.
that could even
Yes.
take a wheelchair.
That's right.
I mean,
Wow.
that's
Wow.
the world.
Well,
That's-
and let me stop you right there. What does that mean to make it ADA compliant?
Sure.
Wheelchairs, I'm assuming.
First of all, you think about, you got to go back 25 years ago, 26
Yes.
6 years ago, as a matter of fact. And I don't even know what year that was, but I know my son was 8. So 98 maybe.
Yeah.
And
that's about right.
there was gravel everywhere. So you had to pour,
Couldn't even put a wheelchair.
you couldn't even
on
get a wheelchair from the parking lot to the
right.
dugouts.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? And then when you get to the dugouts, there are little entries. They weren't wide enough.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So you've got to widen. So they really had to tear down. And I know now because then we did one too. But they bless those men's hearts.
Yeah.
Right? So they got the ADA compliant. They went and reached out to our community, got the Builders and Contractors Association to come in. They tore out the dugout of a field on both the home and visitor side. They poured concrete from the driveway to the handicap parking, I would say. So when you go to Monument Little League to this day, the reason there's this poured concrete all the way to these dugouts is because of Challenger, really.
Right.
And they took it to the minor boys field. I mean, that was the field we used to play on. And I hope you have a long time for this long story. So they took it there, and then they tore down those dugouts, and they made them wider,
Gotcha.
and got rid of any stairs or anything. There weren't stairs there, but there were at another later in the story. But so they made that ADA compliant.
Gotcha.
But so they it was kind of like, if you build it, they will come.
yes.
So they
Sure.
built the dugout. Now they needed people to come.
Right.
So that's where then I got involved, because then I was at work one day and Rick said, "Hey, Carma, do you want to stop being the minor boys rep?" I was like, "Heck yeah." First of all, he didn't even tell me what for. I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Will you be your league's person for this new program, being Challenger Baseball, where it wasn't even called Challenger Division, and can you rally up some buddies to come out? We have 10 kids, 8 to 10 kids. And their vision ended up not being the vision that worked, but how do you know, right?
Right. Unless
So
you try.
they just and if you know anything about Little League, you have district, you have boundaries.
Yes.
Right.
So they were only able to reach out to the kids in Monument Little League's boundaries.
Oh yeah.
So with that being the case, they weren't reaching out to all the kids. So they reached out to just those kids at Monument. They had just a few kids, but bless their hearts, I can still remember Kevin Prinster. I can remember those kids, right? Because they were
Michael Chamberlain.
Michael
The
Chamberlain, yes.
The very beginning.
Very pioneer children, right? And so they said, we need each league to take a turn to bring buddies.
Okay.
So I was like, I can do that. So then the next week, so they gave me my week was the next week, because that's where they were struggling, was with buddies. So I brought buddies from our league, and there were no kids. There were not enough Challenger kids, but we had a lot of buddies, because I totally, with the background with my little brother,
Right.
Sure.
I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to have buddies.
Yes.
So I had buddies, and we really didn't have kids. And so then they said, they went to, other leagues, and other leagues weren't probably as enthusiastic about it as I was, because they didn't have the personal relationship with the need.
Sure.
And so they didn't really bring buddies. So
Okay.
then Rick said, could you just bring the buddies every week? And I was like,
You're
sure.
That's a lot. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Because there wasn't that many weeks left because it was like a trial and error situation. So anyway, that happened that year. So then in that off season, Rick and Bill said, Carma, why don't you just kind of run this, because we did our part. We built the ADA compliant. We did
Field.
what our strong point was.
Sure.
Clearly, the next strong point needs to be passed to someone else. And just luck would have it, and fate. There's nothing. There's no luck in that. Fate would have it in that off season. My best friend came around. That I didn't know was going to be my best friend.
Right. All
we
through
met.
it.
And
I
connected
love
on
it.
so many levels.
It was
Yes.
amazing. It's just like God just brought us together. Jerry came to work at Home Loan. I was at Home Loan. I mean, we both started at Home Loan the same. We started like 3 weeks apart.
Wow.
But that's how I met Kelly, was her husband. And so we got to know each other because in that off season, which was literally like 3 weeks after the story started. And then the next year she became the coach. And Lindsay
Kelli,
was
you
the
were
player.
The coach.
I was the coach.
She was
I
the
did
coach.
not know this. Okay, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And Lindsay started playing baseball.
Yes.
And
That's
and that was a big stretch for Lindsay.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah,
She had
absolutely.
watched her brother play, Little League and
Same. Yeah.
going to baseball games and cheering him on. And then this was her time to where she could get up
Wow.
and hit the ball. And
Yeah.
so it was a great beginning for
Yes.
I
for
don't
her.
think there's anything in my mind, in my heart, that is more precious than watching these special needs kids play baseball.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Any kind of
Anything.
sport.
Any
Even
sport.
with the Special Olympic program,
Mm-hmm.
to watch them be able for a moment in time
Yep.
to be normal,
Yep.
to do
Yes.
something a normal child gets to do,
Mm-hmm.
is amazing. And it blesses me. It brings me to tears to
does.
watch it.
Every time.
Every time.
Because
Me
they
too.
are out and they don't care whether they strike out or whether
Nope.
they're called
They're
out.
just winners.
They're all winning, and they're having fun.
So much
Yes.
fun.
And they love it, and they love each other, and
Mhm.
it is just such a wonderful experience.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
them to be, normal for
Yeah.
that period of
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
And
you know?
wherever level they are, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you meet
Because
them.
Yeah.
you meet them. That's
Mhm.
exactly, and that's what I found so incredible. That if they're in a wheelchair, that doesn't stop them. That we're
Yeah.
gonna put the bat, try to get that, and they get to run to first base,
Yeah.
with their buddy. And I just think that there's nothing better. There's just nothing better. It fills your heart so much.
It does. And when we see, so I have to go back and tell you something, because I don't know what podcast you're doing this week, but since you're on the road, I know you're probably doing
We are.
some of
Yes.
people. I'm going to say this, that so when Kelly and I came together, and she was the coach, and I was the little director. It was this is where our 25th year of that, right?
Sure.
So our first year, our 25 years ago, I was like, okay, I made a promise to those kids the year before. If you guys give us another chance, you'll have buddies every week. You guys need to come every week. And I need to write a letter to the Little League International and ask them to remove the boundaries so we
Yep.
can stretch out, right?
Absolutely.
To everywhere.
So-
yes.
Which I did and was approved. I said we gotta reach out to the whole valley.
Yes.
Okay, so then the first year of our 25th years, there was no cell phones back then, right?
No.
So you called and you hope people answered the phone because there
Yeah.
wasn't caller ID, whatnot, and you just called your friends. Well, I was blessed to call Chris Hanks.
Nice.
So this is also CMU's 25th year of being our buddies. It was
Oh.
his first year at CMU
CMU.
Yes.
being the baseball coach.
Gotcha.
So he was as scared as I was.
like anything you want.
Yeah.
You're both
He's
doing
just like,
something new.
absolutely. But he had played ball with my brother through Legion Ball or whatever you do when
Yeah.
you're not done with high school, right? And I just said, hey, Chris, congratulations on the job, whatever,
Yeah.
on you being the baseball coach. Back then it was Mesa State. Was it
Yeah.
Mesa State?
Mesa State.
And but can you bring some kids out to help these kids play baseball? He's like, what are you talking about? Well, and I said, I don't really know, but come out, just figure
come
it out.
out, yes.
And so they would come. So the CMU football team, as well as others, but that was our first buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas CMU's baseball team
Oh.
came to Monument Little League, and that stirred up curiosity as well. Because all of the other Little League fields taking place at the games those nights were like, why is CMU's baseball team here?
Sure.
Right.
Make
I didn't even
it
think of
instantly
that.
made it cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes,
we've
yes.
guarded that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
they would
that's
often
something-
come
yeah.
and watch the game
Yeah.
because of that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But then on the other thing too is when we didn't have like CMU buddies, our boys and
Yeah.
their friends would come out
Yeah,
and be
Right.
buddies. And it
Mhm.
was a chance for them to see kids get to play a game that they have the opportunity to play.
Absolutely.
And that, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then I think about Michael Chamberlain, before they kind of the base running or the base
Mhm.
lines, it was all rock, and
Yeah.
Michael had a walker,
Mm.
and for him on some nights where it was so muddy and wet, and he
Mhm.
would just
Truck through.
Truck
truck
through
through
it.
and go to
Mhm.
first base, second base, third base,
Mhm.
and with his little walker, and is
Oh,
just
I love it.
Yeah.
beginnings
just-
that
They're so resilient.
yeah, they
So
really
They are,
resilient.
and
Yeah.
the first time I ever watched it, I was moved to tears because it was Cody.
Gordon. Yeah.
Mm.
Cody still moves me to
Yeah.
I
tears.
know.
Us too.
But watching him run the bases,
Mhm.
He's amazing.
Kid
And-
is amazing.
and it just, I'm like,
Yeah. See?
wow, you don't have a disability
No,
right now.
you
You're
don't.
running the bases.
Yes.
You know?
And,
And
he
it-
tries
yeah,
everything.
Everything.
tries
This guy can
everything.
ski.
And even
he
the kid,
bowls.
yeah.
Rock
There's
climbs.
not one thing that it doesn't. And in
I mean,
his
I've
mind,
never seen anybody run with crutches, and he did it.
he does it. He
And-
does it,
and-
and he's amazing.
And then just to watch him, like you said, on social media, I'm like,
oh,
Yeah.
there's
gosh,
nothing wrong with this kid. I
Yes.
mean, he does everything, and
Yeah.
it blesses me.
it does. It does.
And then to watch, and I don't remember her name,
I don't know.
but she was, I think it's a young lady. It's in a wheelchair, and
Oh,
and
Cody. Probably Cody Mendenhall. Either Cody,
Cody
or
and then to have the
Mendenhall.
buddies push her around the
Oh.
bases.
Oh
and
yeah.
Oh,
Or
yes.
Rhiannon.
or Rhiannon.
Yeah.
Rhiannon. Yeah, we've got
You
a few
know?
girls that they're amazing.
And just the
They are
smile on
amazing.
their
Yeah.
And the
face.
faster
Oh,
they
yeah.
go,
The
the bigger the
fast-
smile.
Oh yes,
Which takes us to Braden Anderson.
Yes.
Yes.
Back, who went to our World Series.
Yes.
Braden
Okay.
Anderson,
Yeah.
who had the two buddies and Josh Shapiro.
Oh yes.
Yes, and he the first time that Braden, he was in our beginnings, one of our first, if not maybe our first wheelchair, and we were all so delicate. And he was just saying faster, faster, and we weren't sure what he was saying at first. And we're like, "What is he saying?" His buddy came to me. And he goes, "Miss Carma, I think he wants me to go faster." And I was like, "Go faster then." And we still have the most beautiful picture
Mm.
of two kids in wheelchair, him and Josiah.
Mhm.
And Josiah has since passed away. That's the hard piece of Challenger.
Mm.
Because we've seen several of not several, but enough of our kids pass away. But we have a picture of two football players. When they were football players, were the buddies racing them.
Oh God.
Josiah and Braden racing them around the field after the game, going so fast they should have gotten a speeding ticket.
Yes.
And me and Kelly were just over there, just going.
Oh my gosh, that
But
is
they're
so funny.
resilient. One boy, his name's Jordan. This wasn't right in the beginning, but I know it was my first year at Canyon View. He had a seizure.
Mm.
You remember that running after at first base? But he just said he came to. I didn't panic because it worked out okay. But anyway, when he came to, he goes, "Do I still get my other at bat?"
That's all he cared
That's
about.
what
Yeah.
that
I'm
was
like,
the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Whatever
absolutely.
you want.
Yeah,
Oh
but
my gosh.
I don't, he ran to first and was so afraid that he was going to get taken out of the game. And he's like, I still have another, that's what he said. I still have another at bat. Do I get my other at bat? I'm
Do I
like,
get my other back?
absolutely.
Because that was
Yes,
so
you
important to
do.
him in that moment.
and we've
Yes.
guarded that. Kelly and I have been very protective that it is a time that only the Challenger kids get to be on the field,
Yes.
Yes.
not their siblings.
Yep.
And their siblings really don't get to go out and be their buddies unless it was back in the humble beginnings. Lindsay's got a buddy, which was her brother, because
Right.
he was one of the buddies for reals.
Yes.
And her Bobby.
Yeah,
And I
for
think
Bobby.
the parents too, because sometimes they have such a
Yes.
connection with their parents. It's nice to have the parents in the
And we've
stands.
guarded that. We're like,
Yeah.
parents, you have to stay in the stands.
Yes.
You've got to trust,
Yes.
which was a leap of faith on
It's
our part
such a
too.
leap of faith.
And
yeah.
for them too.
Yeah, you've got to trust us, but we have guarded our buddies. We have guarded the integrity. I don't mean to say this in any disrespect, but we don't just let anybody be buddies. Does that make sense?
No, totally.
They have to be of a certain age, a certain maturity,
Yeah.
and they have to someone asked me, well, so let me go back. I have, otherwise, when it was our humble beginnings, some of the siblings wanted to be out there because they wanted to hang out with their buddies. They wanted to hang out with the baseball players. They wanted to hang out with
Oh.
the JUCO buddies, and we're like, nope, you got to go sit in those stands because this is they get other times.
Sure.
Absolutely.
This is not their time.
Yes.
This is their siblings' time. They get one time,
Yes.
Right.
maybe 1 hour for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And when JUCO players come out, because they're our grand finale, is we have now JUCO teams. But I have to go back really quick. We learned in the humble beginnings of Monument Little League, we needed another place because only those kids in that area were coming out. Because
Oh,
we're
okay.
spread across the valley, right?
Sure.
So we went to Grand Mesa, and I kind of took the blueprint of what Rick and Bill did, and I went to my husband worked at FCI Constructors back then, and so I went to FCI, and they did have stairs into their dugouts back then, so we had to fill those holes because stairs weren't going to work.
Yeah.
But we got the Little League paved in 2 areas because there was 2 different ways to enter into the parking lot,
Oh wow.
and we've got that dugout done and made that ADA compliant. And then now we had but again, it's our community support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody did this for volunteering, and now we had a field on both ends of town
Oh wow.
because Grand Mesa is by Texas Roadhouse, which you know where that is,
Yes.
but opposite of Monument Little League. We had,
Right.
but we needed
Two
a
of 'em.
field. We needed to be on both ends of town so that we could reach from Palisade to Fruta and everywhere in
Sure.
between. And so that we stayed there for a bit, but we outgrew that. Then we went, the city opened up and the school district found a way to make us, we didn't have money to rent a facility.
Sure.
So the school district and the city of Grand Junction teamed together, gave us Columbine, was it Columbine?
Mhm.
Columbine Park, which is the city softball fields, but there's
Okay.
2 fields there.
Yes.
Right.
We
Now
used for
we've
the JUCO
even-
team,
Yeah,
the games.
yeah, for the JUCO games, because and then we outgrew that, and then now we're sit at this beautiful facility out at Canyon View Park, and there's a reason I'm telling you this is that has 4 fields, and we can play all the games together at one night, Monday
Oh,
nights.
nice.
Wow.
Okay, but this is why it's
Wow.
really important, and this is the parts of Challenger that I find so amazing, mind blowing a little bit. We played at Monument on Tuesdays, Grand Mesa on Thursdays.
Mm.
Well, sometimes kids with autism don't like to change their routine.
Yes.
So to go from Tuesday, having a schedule like regular Little League where you don't know if you're playing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday,
Yep.
Saturday, or where, was extremely confusing. So the gift of one night and the gift of one location is
Amazing.
monumental
Yeah.
to the mindset of several of our players. We had a player, he would go to, his games were Thursday nights. His games were always on Thursdays. In his mind, it was Thursday nights.
Wow.
So on Thursday nights, remember that? His mom would take him to Grand Mesa Little League because they played there on Thursdays, and would sit in the dugout for an hour and leave.
Oh.
Yeah, the game wasn't even there.
Oh my gosh. But that's what he knew.
But
That,
that
was,
was his routine.
That was what he needed. Oh.
So he would do that. And then when we moved it, that got a little confusing for them for JUCO night because they were used to playing at a Little League.
Yep.
Convoluted.
Right. Right.
So the
Wow.
gift of Canyon View
and having
and
all
having
4 fields.
all 4 fields on the same night consistently, and having all the buddies come out
Mm-hmm.
has allowed us to we have high school nights, like the whole high school, all the athletes can come out. Oh, wow. So we have CMU for 3 weeks. We have then Central, Palisade, Fruta, and Junction have a whole night where more kids get the opportunity to be buddies
That's amazing.
because we have that. But more importantly, because we can play all the games one night, and it's Mondays when nobody really has sports for the high schools
Sure.
and for the college because it's like their rest day. But more importantly, it gives that constant stability for
of
those
it
kids.
being that one day, that one all together. That makes sense. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
we're so grateful for the city
Oh.
of Grand Junction
Oh.
for allowing us to use the.
And District 51, because they
beautiful
put it under their contract.
That's
Else we would have to pay
amazing.
for that, and we wouldn't be able to do that.
It's just
Wow.
amazing. We love the community support
Mhm.
here in Grand Junction. It reminds us of home. This is a second home
Yes.
to us because there's so many similarities. Because the community rallies around their people, and it's so important. And we love to see what's going on.
Yes.
But let's transition into how you guys met Ryan.
Yes.
And it's through CMU
Challenger
being the
baseball.
buddies
Right.
for Challenger.
Right.
Right.
So that was Ryan's first year. So he's post chemotherapy.
Right.
He's back from rehab, and it's his
Yeah.
first season. starting
CMU.
back.
But if I remember right, we went to the kickoff dinner that you weren't
Right.
able to go to
I wasn't
that
able
one
to go
day.
to
You
that.
are right.
And
Yes.
I kick
And
myself to this
he
day.
does kick himself, and he will not miss one. I mean, it's crazy. But Ryan and I went, but Ryan looked amazing. He did amazing. That like, I don't know if you met him when he was bald and just very sickly. So he was looking good. He was starting
Yeah.
to get, stronger and stuff. And we went to this challenge. It was probably around February is what I'm thinking.
was.
Yeah.
And then at the kickoff dinner, this is what I remember, and then I'll let you guys tell me what you guys remember, is there was a screen that said, hey, Challenger Baseball, they're going to the Little League World Series this year, that they have been fundraising, and I'll never forget, Ryan said, I have to go to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's during school. And he's like, I've got to go to that. And so anyway, he said, can you go with me to talk to the girls about how I can do this? So then we come meet you guys, and then you go from there, because that is basically when I met you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do all the talking. Kelly can talk, but I have to tell this part.
I have to tell this part. Kelly's
Because
like,
we have this kind of.
She's good at talking.
she's good at talking.
Well, I had to talk up to this point because that was the how Challenger
That was
became
the how.
thing, right?
Okay.
But this is funny because I remember saying, announcing like me, Coach Hanks and us had met with how do we pick the players that get to go?
Oh.
We
Didn't-
had
this
because
was
We
we
hadn't
behind the
done that
scenes.
yet. We hadn't picked
had
the
we not
players.
done that yet?
No, I don't
Oh, okay.
think so.
So I can't remember when this piece happened, but I just remember the piece about 17 because 17 is my very favorite number. And
Very
I love
favorite.
Todd Helton. Let's just clarify that.
Okay.
But I also like win and lose
Roulette.
a lot of money on number 17 and
17.
roulette.
And
Yeah.
isn't it
Black 17,
Black
absolutely.
17, yes.
Yeah, so 17's been my number. So two humorous things was I said, I don't know what players want to sign up on this list. And I don't know if you'll remember this. I said, but if you're number 17, you have to go. Do you remember that?
I do not remember
that?
this. I don't
Yeah.
remember
I
that.
remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And little did I know number 17. I didn't know Ryan. And I didn't know
No.
Ryan was number 17.
Yes.
But
Well,
I said
he
that.
wasn't 17 at the college yet
He wasn't.
because there was a whole.
Remember the Elcock boys?
Oh,
Right.
they
Okay, so
were.
one of the Elcock boys was 17, but Ryan was like, they had a bet going.
They had a bet going.
So he's like, what can I do to get that number?
Number 17,
And
yeah.
so he said, well, let's through the the practice and preseason, let's see who
has a
the
better-
best betting average.
Right.
And so that's how they were gonna, because he wasn't like tied to that number. I think he was just given that number, one of the Elcock boys. And
Yeah.
Ryan's like, no, that's my
I'm tied to that number. That's
That is
my
my
number.
number. Yeah, I picked it. I won it. I researched like he knew it. So at what point did you meet Ryan?
So we were together, so now she can talk.
Okay.
Because you and I
what
were
point
together.
Well,
did
we
you meet?
That night.
met him that night.
Yeah.
I vividly remember you
too.
both coming up to Carma and I after the
He was
the
the first
banquet.
player.
Yeah, he was.
We
Absolutely the
ran.
first
We
player,
were like,
yeah.
we got to go there. 'cause
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't know if you guys had picked. We didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Because remember, he did not go
The
to
year
school
before.
there that semester before.
Mhm.
So, because he was fighting. So, he came in January. And so when we met you in February. So
Yeah.
it was, his
Yeah.
hair was growing back. I mean, you should see his card, his CMU card. I was embarrassed. And I was like, oh, he wasn't one bit embarrassed. He walked
It
these
was a badge of
halls
honor.
like it was like, and he's like, oh, I forgot I'm bald. Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot. I don't have eyebrows. Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot that, and he didn't care. He was so happy to be here. So
Yeah.
he ran to you guys.
He
so he
did.
knew where you were sitting.
did.
And I was kind of
He's really the only one that I remember coming up
That
to
night.
us that
That's
night.
right. Me too. I don't even remember anyone else. So when we met Ryan, what I remember is he said that night, I am so excited. I have to be a part of this. And I will even do my own fundraising if I have to, which was funny because we hadn't crossed that bridge yet. And I was thinking, you may have to.
We had just started that journey, and it was like going to be a big journey.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, when you started, how the community rallied, and tell us about
Well,
how
I
the fundraising
think the
went.
first step was to kind of narrow down the CMU players that were going to be our buddies.
Okay.
And
Even
Coach
to
Hanks,
pick
to
buddies.
pick. That was and picking our challenger kids to go. That was Wow, we had a big meeting with all of our coaches.
Because
Oh, so
this
that
is-
had to go first.
But I think we need to tie this in first because this is for an opportunity to go to the Little League World Series, so the Challenger World Series.
Yes.
And this is not something you earn, it's a draw. Is that the way it works?
No,
How
it's
does
an
that-
invite.
It's an invite.
Oh, an
An invite.
Okay.
Thanks to Carma.
Okay. Did
She
you write a
received an
letter?
award
Oh.
at the ABC
American Baseball Coaches Association. Yep, ABCA
And-
convention.
yeah.
We were the only two women. It was hilarious. All men and us.
And
Awesome.
she accepted this award, and the president of
Little League International.
Major League Baseball was there,
Yeah,
as
Rob.
well as the
Rob
Little
Manford.
League president.
Wow.
And that's what kind of just
Yeah.
snowballed this whole trip that we were able to
Rob
do.
Manford, the MLB commissioner,
Yes.
was speaking, and I was getting this award, and he was sitting next to me, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I don't really know why I'm here at the moment," because we had the manager for the Kansas City Royals on my left, Ned Yost, and little did I know that
Idea.
the Little League International president was in the audience.
Wow.
And little did he know that a little challenger team from Grand Junction, Colorado was being honored on such a large stage. So as soon as that was over,
Wow.
came
We
found
showed
us.
we showed a video during the event, and it was just a start of a wonderful, magical.
He's like, you guys have got to share this
experience.
with the world.
Yeah,
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like that is incredible. I did not know that big piece
Yeah.
of the puzzle.
I remember
so this
in our
is
hotel room.
2016.
So this was 2015 or 16.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
It, had
but-
some, it was the year before.
You were invited for 2016.
Yes, because we needed to have time to fundraise.
Gotcha.
And we were like, we can't go this year. We need to raise a lot of money. But we had to also pick. We didn't know who to pick for our buddies. Like we
Okay.
didn't know how that was going to look, or pick our players. And I'll let Kelly tell you about that because God chose them all.
Yes.
Literally, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we had a meeting and we met with all of our coaches and just went through
Yeah.
all of our players, and we
was
knew
hard.
it was so hard.
Who do you
But
pick?
we
Out
wanted
of 80 kids, you have to pick 15.
Yeah.
15
Out of
kids.
80
Out
kids.
of 80 kids.
So how did it go? Tell us how the meeting went.
You know, I think we kind of set a criteria that we wanted those kids that were going to go with us to realize the experience that they were going to be able
Did
to
you do an interview?
participate in.
No, but we did include all the coaches so that there was not like Carma and Kelly picked them.
Gotcha.
No, we did not. We had a
it was
group.
very
we
it
had
was very hard.
a group.
Very
Okay,
hard.
so there was like a line up of people
Yeah,
that
we
had
wrote.
to agree that this particular
Yes.
kid could go.
Remember, we wrote all the names on a chalkboard.
It was very
Really?
difficult.
It was very
Very
difficult.
difficult.
So there was 40 names, and you had
80.
to pick 15.
80 names.
Oh,
We started
80
with
names.
80,
And we had to get down to 15 and not
and all the coaches had input. Then we wrote everybody's name on a whiteboard and just had a conversation and wanted it to be to where those children or those players understood the experience that
Sure.
they were going to be able to
we also
participate
wanted
in.
to make sure we did a variety of
And variety of needs.
needs. Yeah.
Variety of needs.
Right.
That did come
And
into play.
ages.
And ages.
Okay.
Girls to boys.
Girls
Sure.
to boys, yeah.
I mean, we wanted to make sure that since we were on a stage to show the world, literally, because it was played during the Little League World Series,
Yes.
right? That everybody watches the Little League World Series if you're
yeah.
from America.
And this was televised as well.
Yeah,
Because I remember
absolutely.
we
It was on
watched it.
ESPN.
Yeah. Yes, man.
But we wanted to make sure we did Down syndrome, we did wheelchairs, we did autism, whatever. We wanted to give a big, so some of the kids maybe we would have chosen. We didn't choose because we had chosen the kids in that. I hate to say category, but would that be?
Yeah. No,
what's the
I
word?
understand.
The
your heart.
the sharing of the vision.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that was the Little League players.
Mm-hmm.
And there was there 80 of them? How many players did you, because you had to narrow that down to 15 as well.
You mean for buddies?
No, you had players that went. Now, did you have to narrow down how many players there was?
Well, yeah, we had to narrow it down from 80 to 15 because we
Right.
only
Yeah.
took 15 kids to Pennsylvania.
Okay,
From
so
80 kids.
80
Plus
kids.
Zach,
Plus-
who was our manager.
Yeah.
Okay,
Love
okay.
Zach.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then what about the buddies? How many buddies? sings.
Well, we weren't sure about that yet.
Yeah.
That has
So
Okay.
Coach Hanks helped us with that, as well as players who were willing to make that commitment as well.
Sure.
They had to meet grade criteria.
Okay.
They had to meet. They had to be eligible. That was Coach Hanks's. So once we decided we were going to do the baseball team, Coach Hanks set criteria in place, and there was a beautiful story about two players. One player didn't get. Remember the letter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't remember his
I
name.
know. I kind of. I don't want to say their names. 'Cause I don't want to say who did what because I don't remember. But anyway, we got narrowed down to where we had one extra player from CMU, and that were eligible through Coach Hanks's criteria.
Gotcha.
And one player, so kind, wrote a letter to say, "I know this other player really wants to go. If I need to back up, even though I really want to go, I will to let him go." The letter was so beautiful, wasn't it?
Oh, that's so cool.
So what did we do?
Brought them both.
Yes.
What's one more little fundraiser?
Yeah.
And I remember gathering all those players, and we had dinner at Boston's one night, just Carma and I and them. And we met them all. They filled out a little form of, like,
Information.
where they grew up, yada, yada, yada. And I got home and I looked and I'm like, Ryan has the same birthday as me.
And
30 years older, but it was just a connection that just kept on
Absolutely.
happening.
going. Yes.
Right.
Kept on happening.
And you still didn't know a story yet.
no,
Still didn't know a
no,
story yet.
No.
Okay.
Would have never,
Nope.
never
Okay.
known.
Had no
Yeah,
idea.
never
No
guessed.
idea his story. So like Coach Hanks didn't say anything to you.
No.
Nope.
You guys. Okay. So then it's you guys share the same birthday and then you guys have the same number, favorite number.
How
So-
ironic. Right?
Ironic because so ironic.
And then we
So-
started kind of fundraising, and we
Yeah.
had events at the basketball games at CMU. And I remember taking a picture of Ryan with Katie, and I don't know, just special little connections along the way. And then it was time to kind of pair up our buddies with our challenger player. And Karma couldn't go that day, but it was after practice one day, and we all met by the softball fields, and everybody kind of went around and introduced themselves. And then I just said, okay, well, you guys just let's pick your buddies. And it would just magic happened. Everybody just kind of found their buddy, and Malia and Ryan found each other. And we haven't really talked about Malia, but Malia was so shy
She cried all
and
the
would
time.
get so stressed in certain situations. And I just remember the connection that they made immediately. And I went around and I took pictures of each of them with their buddy. And Ryan just brought out
Instantly.
a Malia that we had not seen. And they immediately got silly together. I took a kind of a nice smiling picture, and then I said, okay, let's be silly. And they both stuck out their tongue. And I love that picture. And it was
I love
just
it too, my favorite.
a magic that happened between, well, Ryan brought out a special magic in Malia.
Ryan changed Malia.
Mhm.
I just have to say that pre-Ryan Malia and post-Ryan Malia were almost two different Malias.
Yeah, completely
Malia
different.
bloomed not into a little flower. She has bloomed into a beautiful rose. That she was very scared, scared, timid, quiet, shy, cried a lot out of just fear of being
Just
present.
stressed.
Yeah.
Stressed. And
for
she
sure.
he changed her overnight. It was beautiful to see, huh?
Yeah.
And we seen it right at front row.
And she
Oh.
is precious to us
Oh,
because
she's so precious.
because of Ryan, we got to meet her,
Right.
and so I don't know that we've ever seen the change, but
But
we
we know the
how much
new.
Yeah.
we
The
know how much
new
he
Malia.
impacted her.
Yes. And
Well, when we started planning this trip, we found out stories about the families. Malia had never been on an airplane before,
And she was so scared.
is so right. I
or a
remember that.
hotel room,
Right.
if I
Yes.
remember
You are right.
correctly.
Yes.
And that was that was stressful.
And
Yeah.
Ryan
Thinking
diffused
about
that.
an airplane ride, and
Yeah.
and Ryan just
He handled it
brought
like a champ.
brought calm to her.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, American or Southwest, because you know how you kind of don't choose your seats.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, we flew that, remember? And they thought that her and her mom would be separated. And Ryan went to the flight attendant
Oh,
and
he
he
did.
handled that business
Mhm.
to make sure, because she was having like a little anxiety attack about that, and Ryan handled it. We were getting ready to handle it,
Mhm.
and Ryan handled it. And I have
Yeah.
goosies because I
Yeah.
remember he fought her fight for her,
Mhm.
Oh,
and that's right.
And they sat together.
They
and
sat
they
together.
sat together.
They took
Absolutely.
selfies together.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Oh yeah, she tells me that all
That
the time.
was a total
Yes.
planes, trains, and automobile trip. It took a
Literally.
lot. The bus driver got lost from Pennsylvania to Williamsport,
Oh
and he calmed her.
yes,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
whole
and
time.
when you just think about different challenges with kids, some kids had different challenges than others. Hers is anxiety at a level that could have turned out so differently, but she showed none of it as long as he was there.
Yeah, yeah, and
He
she
makes her
even
so
was
brave.
so brave. Even
Mhm.
because I remember the story on she would not hit the ball other than a tee,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
he
true.
was like,
No.
Malia, I know you could do it, and just the
Mhm.
bravery that he
Yes.
gave
He
her.
instilled in her.
Yes, to do it, and she did it,
Yeah.
and she does it. Like
And now
she,
she's a coach for
Yeah.
a child. Now
I
she's a
just,
coach.
I love that so much to see her grow and mature into, and she is shy, but she definitely handles her anxiety very well. And yeah, I just, she's beautiful.
A story, we've talked about the story of like our emotional speech night.
Oh yes.
A story that I don't remember if you've known this story, but I'm going to tell you this different story
Okay.
that we seen on the way back. And Ryan wasn't feeling good, and he shared that with us. But we didn't know that he was going to be flown back to California a week later, right?
Right.
So we don't know, but he tells us in Silverthorne.
He asked me for a Tylenol, and I didn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
And you just knew he wasn't feeling very
And he
good.
thought maybe he was getting a sinus infection or a cold, but he wasn't feeling good.
Yeah.
But you have to know this piece because this is much love to him. And we have two things I have got. I don't know how long this podcast goes, but these stories have to come out. But this is one of them that I will never forget. And so knowing that he doesn't feel well, and at that point we didn't know how not well he was feeling.
Mhm.
We just knew he wasn't feeling well. We were conscientious of that because he asked us. He took us aside in Silverthorne and asked and said he wasn't feeling well. But we're coming back, and the kids are having anxiety. One child, I believe, even might have got a little sick on the bus of coming back into this real world, because
Right.
we've just experienced a week of sheer love,
Oh,
acceptance. We were in our own little world. Nobody was bothering us, and we all bonded at a level nobody can understand.
Yeah.
People still ask me sometimes, how after just knowing Ryan for just 1 year, do you still have so much love for him? I said, you just would have to know him. That's just him, and he's so special to us now. But we're coming back on the bus, and the kids are starting to enter back into the real hemisphere, and they're having anxiety. And we're in like Debec Canyon, almost in Debec Canyon. And remember, he got out playing cards and started doing magic
I have a
tricks.
picture of that.
Started doing magic tricks. Well, now here we think we know all about him at this
in
point.
the aisle of the bus.
On the aisle of the bus, I will never forget that moment. So while we have all these other moments, like at the heat of a moment where things are like kind of working, I'm hurting because I got hurt from sliding down the hill. Well,
That's another
that's
story.
another Ryan story where Ryan saves her. We need to do that one. So I'm hurting because I hurt my talon sliding down the hill at the World Series, and that's a whole nother story that you need to let Kelli say. But he just gets up in the aisleway of our bus, starts doing magic card tricks. I'm like, Ryan, is there anything you don't do to spread joy? And he calmed them and distracted them with these magic tricks.
Wow.
And it made the rest of that drive, which could have just been really rough, really smooth. I will never
And
forget
all this
that.
while he
Because
doesn't
everyone
feel
was
good.
so tired.
And he does not. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
don't know he doesn't feel.
Yeah, we
and
don't.
We had no idea that the amount of not feeling good, and he rose past that to calm a whole bus. Wow. Like why? Like really?
Wow.
Right? God bless that kid. Like, how do you not love him
It's
forever?
amazing.
Right.
And when you're in those experiences, but
Yeah.
you have to tell him about the hill because it's
Yes.
hilarious.
Tell
So
us about when you're
hilarious.
at the World Series. Yes.
So it was Sunday, and the the tradition of sliding down the hill. I can't
On a
remember the
wooden
name
box,
of the hill.
or I mean
Yeah,
on a
on
box,
a piece of
Cardboard.
cardboard.
Yeah, on a
Yeah.
piece of cardboard. And by Sunday, the hill was very bumpy, and no grass was left. And we decided,
Why
let's just do it.
Let's
Let's
do
go
You're
ahead.
here. You're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
World
yeah.
Series.
Yeah.
Go for it.
When
So
in
all the
Rome.
ball players are up there, and we find our piece of cardboard, and we get ready to go. And I can't remember who pushed us, but we got pushed, and it was just a little off kilter.
So you're
I
going
started kind of
sideways.
going sideways,
out,
hit
basic-
Karma,
I
and
put my leg
we
out.
both just rolled
The
down
whole
the
way
hill.
down.
Oh, no.
Yes, all the way
Yes,
down.
it was
Oh,
And
my
Cardboard's still on
someone,
the hill.
I think Cecily took a picture of us
gotta
doing
see
this,
it.
and
It's-
I have the picture of Karma and I rolling down the hill. But who's coming after us? It's Ryan,
running to
Running.
save her life.
and I think it was Jake Drews,
I think so too.
and they were first down to come
To take care of her.
You're like, I'm a little sore.
Oh, my
I don't know that
my whole
He
arm was just scraped.
Totally was the first one to get to her, and you
But
could
it
just
was
see him just
yeah.
Good.
in the
This is not good.
this is not good. And what do you
What
know
a
what he
great
said?
memory.
What was the first thing? You don't know.
Oh, I think
Probably,
we
"Are
were
you
just
okay?"
yeah, are you okay?
we were in so much shock. She was bleeding.
I think we were shocked. Like
Shocked.
what just
The
happened?
fact is, he was the first one to run down that whole
Yeah.
hill.
Oh,
I mean, he
my
would have
goodness.
wiped out for her.
I know.
I was thinking, so birthday trumps favorite number at this moment because he was
Yes.
right at it, taking
Yes.
care of her.
Oh my gosh,
So-
that is so cool.
But so many
cool.
moments during that whole trip of
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
magical little
Mm-hmm.
happenings that touched our hearts.
Oh,
That
forever.
and I love that we're forever connected with all those players that
Yeah.
went with us, all those families that went with us, and
Yeah.
Ryan.
That's one of our
Yes.
disappointments is that we didn't go.
we tried so hard to go. I don't know if you know that story. We
I think I do.
yes,
remember.
because we had tried. We were going to go because I was just blown away. I'm like, because Ryan goes, I don't need any money. I don't. They have fundraise. I go, oh, there's something up. There's something up. Like there's
We're gonna leave him
something.
in Pennsylvania.
Like I was like, I don't understand. He goes, no, they fundraise. They have it all situated. They know. And I'm like, so Steve and I looked up flights. We were thinking, oh, I got to experience this with him because it is once in a lifetime
Yeah,
type of
it was.
situation. And our youngest son had a football
Football
game.
game. I
And
remember,
we
yeah.
were like, how are we going to do this?
couldn't
And
pull
we
it off.
just couldn't pull it off to do it. But one of the things, how did you actually hear Ryan's story? Because I wasn't the one that told you. Did he ever
He
tell
showed it
you?
to us in Pennsylvania. Because before emotional speech night, when he
I think
after,
we knew
yeah,
before that night, but I really
but before the emotional
remember.
speech night, he when I only can answer for myself. We were walking from the field, the practice field, and I know Kyle Serrano's in the story, and he was very emotional. He says, "I'm gonna have to wear my sunglasses the whole game," and I just know this is I don't remember all the details of it, but I remember thinking that Ryan said, and I was gonna say this as he says, "I always want to be to the World Series. This is my World Series." Because he was a baseball player, and every
Absolutely.
kid
Little
wants to
League,
play
yeah.
Little League World Series.
Yep.
Or something to the fact of the little series. But little did I know that this was really going to be his World Series.
Yeah.
But he said, "This is better
Wow.
than the World Series," and he meant it, and he
Oh.
was emotionally attached to, as was Kyle. Kyle was close by in the story. I remember that, and because Kyle had said, "I can't take my sunglasses off." Because I was crying, and this was just practice.
Oh.
And then Ryan said, "This is way better than any World Series," and I think I honestly don't know if he told us. If he told us his story, I could be wrong.
You just knew.
We just knew.
yeah.
I don't know if it ever got into deep. We knew
Yeah, I
that
don't
he
know.
took a year off. We knew Coach Hanks saved his scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The more I think about it, I think Coach Hanks told us when we were
When you were debating
who to bring.
Who to bring. That's the
Yeah.
what I would assumed
Mm-hmm.
happened because he didn't have any grades to look at.
Yeah.
He just had a whole lot of passion
Yeah.
and drive, and I mean obvious connections
Mhm.
with you guys. And he was the right person.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that,
1,000,000%.
And he's a leader just by nature,
Mm-hmm.
and you could tell. And when he loved something,
Oh,
it just
he's
came
so
through his
passionate.
pores. Like
Mhm.
he just loved it. So
Well,
If we didn't know his story, we would have never known
yeah, I kind of
what he had been through
agree.
because,
he
like you
didn't.
said,
He
he is a
didn't wear
leader.
it.
He was always positive. He always had a smile on his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
He was always doing for someone else.
That's right.
Yeah.
He did not have a victim mentality.
No.
Not at all.
No.
2 other things that I want to share real quick that will make us cry, but one of them, when Tinkerbell got her wings. I feel like that's important too. You don't know this, but
no.
you'll know this. But the week after we got home from the World Series,
Mm-hmm.
we had the kids got to go out on the field for the first home football game.
Hmm.
And so CMU had invited all the kids and the baseball boys from the World Series
Nice.
to come out and be introduced,
Mm.
before the football game. Well, Malia's mom wasn't feeling well. Connie wasn't well. Well, so Malia wouldn't have been able to be there, but Ryan, who also wasn't feeling well, because it was
Picked her up.
that day that he went to the nurse's station here, same
Mm.
Saturday.
Same Saturday.
He said, I'm going to go he went and got Malia, picked
Brought
her
her
up,
to the game.
brought her to the game because he didn't want her to miss out on that experience of being able to go in front of the home football game.
Wow.
And we were there waiting to be introduced, and I said, how you feeling? He said, not good.
Mhm.
I think I got to go to the whatever you go to here, wherever he went to go get
You
to
could
the
tell.
doctor
He,
here.
you could tell he didn't.
He says, I'm not feeling good, but I'm not going to go there. I said, why don't you go now? And he goes, I'm not going now. I'm not going till Malia has this day. And he took her to the game, stayed at the football game, got her home safe, and then he cared for himself. And then that was the last time we saw him.
Mhm.
Had we known. But we hugged him because it was an exciting reunion. Said, I love you. Like, I'm glad we got that.
Yeah.
But on the day that he passed, we were in line at Disney World at Peter Pan, and they ring a little bell periodically. It's not planned. And it means Tinkerbell got her wings. And we looked at each other and we said, Ryan got his wings. And we knew. And we knew he went straight to heaven and got his wings. That we knew, huh?
I know we kept on seeing little signs at Disney
Everywhere.
World that just was just him sending us a message.
Yeah. They message after message after message.
Wow.
And we knew. And then our phone started going off.
Yeah.
And all the boys from that team were telling us because they knew we were out of town. But we already knew because we heard the bell ring that meant Tinkerbell got her wings. And everyone in line at Disney World at Peter Pan was wanting to know why we broke down crying. But we knew he got his wings. And that he was our angel from there on out.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
And that's how we knew.
Thank you so much for sharing.
We love you guys.
We love you guys.
And we loved being there for this anniversary that we got to go
Thank
to.
Oh,
you
yeah.
so much.
It was-
And what he built, like,
Yes,
isn't it amazing?
yes.
Like, you guys got
How
to know
you
for
have-
6 months, and
Yeah.
yet the legacy
It's a
that this
lifetime.
20-year-old created and knew, it's amazing. But I cannot tell you. You have to come and experience
Yeah.
it and know it, because
Yep.
he is changing lives even
Oh,
today.
he is. He is.
We don't even need to talk about emotional speech tonight.
I
think
know.
This
I
pretty
know.
much took care of
We're
that.
having our emotional speech
Yeah.
podcast.
We're doing it right
So,
now.
Lindsay, if you're watching, this is your
Yeah.
fault because you
Bless
created
Lindsay's
that.
heart.
Bless Lindsay's heart for emotional speech
Yes,
moments.
I know. I
Wow.
love her.
I mean, I always do the talking, but I'm sure. I mean, we
No,
love
you-
him. We love.
yeah.
We love your son
Thank you.
endlessly.
And the way
Thank
he
you.
touched our life
Mm-hmm.
and how he continues to touch other people.
And we love you guys. We love what you do. I mean, we're connected with this team because I mean, just this trip over here, we had a speaking engagement and Fellowship of Christian Athletes started a new program that includes a lot of the Challenger
Yeah.
kids, and so we got to see Cody and Zach and Spencer and I mean, it
I
goes
know,
on and
Isabella.
on. Isabella,
Yeah,
and
it was
and,
so
and so
sweet, but-
many. And then I mean, tonight. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll get to come watch you guys
Yes.
Yeah,
practice
we
or
have a
have
game
your
tonight.
game.
I love it. I
But
love
just
it.
an amazing
I just
time.
know he smiles down on us all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to tell you something about 17 though. I wore the 17 jersey at the World Series. I did, but that's a cute story in itself. We joked about Ryan and I like kind of joked about that because we let the kids pick their jerseys. I'm like, except for Ryan because I'm wearing 17. But
Oh, that's funny.
he was even so kind and generous.
So he got 11.
Oh, you know why he got 11? Why did he get 11?
I don't
Was
know.
that- was that
Because
Malia?
17 was taken.
Well, because as a kid, they would say because it's 2 ones.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because
Oh.
he had 11 as his backup.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Oh,
sorry,
that's
Ryan.
hilarious.
But I'm
I didn't
taking
even know what
17.
number he wore. Okay, that's hilarious.
But then they let the kids pick the numbers.
Oh,
Well, actually, they let the kids pick the numbers.
maybe it was Malia that
And
picked
then
11.
they went and got their uniforms from CMU and matched up their numbers.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they wore the same number as their player.
Oh, I
Nice.
love
Yeah.
that.
That's amazing. So again, Carma, Kelly, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
You guys are near and dear to our hearts,
Yes.
and this was incredible. We heard some amazing stories that we didn't even know were out there,
Yeah.
and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So-
thanks for having us. Thanks for
Yes.
helping us to relive a wonderful time with Ryan.
Thank
It's our
you.
pleasure. Thanks to Theo Smith, who's our studio engineer,
Yep.
and then Nate Hand, who put all this together for us.
Yes.
And on behalf of 17 Strong, and like Ryan always said, attitude is everything.
Amen.
You've been listening to 17 Strong. Victories don't come by accident. To be part of the show, make a donation, or request more information, go to 17strong.org. That's SEVENTEEN strong.org.